Hello, hello, and welcome to the Social Club Live. I'm so excited for today and so excited that you are joining us because this is a very special woman near and dear to my heart. So, if you are new to the Social Club Live, we were formerly known as Girls Night Live and Isha Inspired. So, we're two companies that merged together by the grace of God. And we have been working hard to bring inspiration to you through fashion, food, fitness, faith, and fun. And I'm very excited because it's allowed me to have a platform to invite all the incredible women that I know that are so passionate about their causes. And this particular woman who you are going to meet today is just was just a godsend to me in a moment that we both needed a sister sitting next to each other. So if we have time at the end, we may share that story, but she's a very, very special woman to me. So please welcome Rochelle. She is the podcast host of Unabashed You and just a fabulous, passionate woman who is just ready to change the world one person at a time. So thank you for your inspiration and thank you for being here, Rochelle. And let me light you up. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just thrilled, just very excited, as I say, to be here. It's all true. I definitely, let me enter my full screen here. Very thankful to be here and welcome to all of you who are here to the three things you need to blossom. I am so glad you're here. So you're going to need paper and pen or your phone, whatever works for you. We're going to have 8 questions, multiple choice, super easy, but I want you to be able to jot it down. So keep that in mind as we get started here. So let's start off with a few questions. Think about these, just ponder these in your head. 1, do you know yourself well enough to be all that you can be? Question 2, do you let fear stunt your growth so that you settle for less? And 3, do you have the courage to show up fully confident in who you are? Those are things that just questions for you to ponder. So in my own answers, I would say for question number 1, probably not, but I'm working on it. Question number 2, yes. And question number 3, sometimes, sometimes, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And so maybe you can relate to that. Guess what? Today, you're probably not going to hear anything you haven't heard before, but we need reminding. Something today might just cause a little inspiration, a little shift for you. So that is why we're here. We're going to talk about change. We're going to talk about growth. Let's start by talking about flowers. Flowers, they're beautiful, they're captivating, they're unique. We are like a flower. They need certain things to grow and to thrive, and so do we. So a couple of things for you to think about as we get started, and this is part of my story. I was turning 60, and I thought, well, this is like my third act. 0 to 30 is 1, 30 to 60 is 2. Third act is 60 plus. I don't know how long I've got, but it is my third act. What did I still want to do? What did I still want to do? And you hear that it's not too late, it's never too late, and that's a great saying. However, in my mind, it was like, uh-oh, late is coming. It's coming because I'm now in the age group I am in. So now what? Have you ever felt like that? So as a woman of faith, I feel like God speaks to me through words because I'm a word person. He uses words to speak to me in verses, something other people might say, song lyrics, quotes. And when I saw this quote that's coming up here, I knew it was for me. Have you ever felt like that before? You just knew something was for you. So here's the quote. Then the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And that's Anais Nin. Then the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And that quote just blew my mind. Both of these are a choice, by the way, staying tight, blossoming. They're both a choice and they both involve risk. I wanted my third act to be creative. I knew my superpower was encouragement, I wanted to encourage people. I decided to create and start a podcast, which I knew nothing about, by the way. I'd listened to a couple, but I didn't know what to do or how to do it, where to do it. I learned, I learned, and I did it scared. I went for it because I said no to remaining tied in the bud. I did not want to stay there. And I wonder if you can relate to that. Who would you be if you weren't afraid? What would you do if you weren't afraid? Would you go full bloom? Or do you need something else to get you there? Maybe it's more of one thing and less of another. Like any flower, we all need three things to bloom. Let's take a look. Water. Plants need water. We need water. So I think of it as like soaking in knowing yourself. Soak in knowing yourself. And you need the sun. The sun dries out or minimizes fears because you're shining a light. You're shining a light. And then fertilizer. You sprinkle confidence. Might take a little courage to get there, but you sprinkle that in, and now you've got the ability to go full bloom. These work together so you can blossom, you can bloom. All right, we're going to find out where you are on the bloom scale. We're going to do that next. And these are our 8 short little questions. Don't overthink it. Go quickly. You're going to be picking a number for each question. So given your answer, you're going to next to number 1, it might be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, all the way down to 8. So again, 1 through 8, your answers are going to be 1 through 5. Okay. Question number 1, and I'm going to be reading these. Where are you in your life right now? Are you tied in the bud? Are you feeling a little weakish, or are you like full bloom, excellent, exceptional? Or are you somewhere in between? Choose the answer, the number that best tells where you are at right now. All right, question number 2. Do you worry about what others might think of you? Do you spend time worrying about this? Choose a number that goes with your answer. Question number 3, do you play the what if game? Do you play the what if game? Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? But then what if that happens? And what if this happens? Do you play that game? Choose an answer that works for you. Question number 4, do you think you're not good enough? Do you think you're not good enough? Choose that answer. 5, do you compare yourself to others? We're going to talk more about this in a bit. Do you compare yourself to others? Choose that number. 6, do you often find yourself wishing you said or did things differently? Do you often find yourself wishing you said or did things differently? This is when you spend time really rehashing things in your head. Choose an answer for that. And 7, do you have a fear of failure or a fear of success? You can have either or both, by the way. Do you have that fear? That's question number 7. And finally, question 8, would you say some kind of fear or more than one is stopping you from being all you want to be or all you can be? Is some kind of fear stopping you or more than one? Choose your answer for that. Okay, now add those up. Add those up. Some quick math here. Your numerical, your answer is going to be somewhere between 5 to 40. It's going to be somewhere in that range, 5 to 40. Okay. Again, these are private answers. No one's going to be called on. You're not sharing these. This is all for you. I want to pour into you in these 30 minutes. I love interactive workshops, but today that's not what this is. This is me pouring out into you, gifting you with my superpower of encouragement. Okay, so let's say you scored a 5 up through 19. We would call you this first pot here, this first picture. It's a little seedling. I think of it like baby's breath. Lady, let's infuse all that's possible to get you growing. Some recommendations for you: hard work on reducing fears, self-reflective journaling, intentional questions of those closest to you to get a better perspective, self-assessments, we're going to talk more about those later, to see who you are, journaling with gratitude, practicing positive self-talk. Okay, if you score between 20 to 25, this would be kind of the germination stage, or I think of it like a daisy. It's time to up your game through learning more about yourself and realizing you have unique gifts to be shared. Name them and claim them. Above all, you need to feel secure within yourself and to believe you are of value. Recommendations, more self-assessments to see who you are, journaling with gratitude, practicing positive self-talk. By the way, all these recommendations you can mix and match. There's no certain way you have to do it. There's no right or wrong. If one speaks to you, but you're in a different category, it doesn't matter. It's all good. All right, the next one, 26 through 31. This is that middle, or we look at that. That's the growth stage of the seed. And I think of that like the carnation. You're probably a tad below where you likely want to be. So let's get the party started. You don't have to settle for less. Truth is, many women would rate themselves here, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Let's keep going up the scale to gain more positive self-belief, recommendations, listening to inspiring content, and seeing yourself in the story, writing out the 10 things you like about yourself, and growing opportunities, looking for those. In our next flower here, we've got the score 32 to 37. This is flowering. You can see it start to flower, and I like to think of this as the tulip. This is above average, and you're well on your way to being fully who you are. You're likely aware of roadblocks that are holding you back from being more. Which fears are still a part of your life? Tackle them one by one. Recommendations, keep it up. Fine-tune specific areas with focus, practice gratitude, and service. By the way, this is where I score. I've been baby's breath, and I've worked my way up. All right, that final category, exceptional, excellent. 38 to 40, this is formation and dispersal in the flower growth. And I think of it like a rose or a dahlia. Congrats, lady, you are in the sweet spot of where we all want to be. Confident in the way you walk, the way you talk and think, a role model for all women. You got it going on. And when you do experience self-doubt, you reflect, accept, but don't stay there for long. Balance recommendations, keep doing what you're doing, becoming who you already are. Now, look where you are in the bloom scale. That's where you are for now. You don't have to stay there unless you want to, and that's a choice. Let's look back at the 3 areas of growth. So, water, that's the soaking in, getting to know yourself. How well do you know yourself? Research shows that 95% of us think we know ourselves well, when in reality, according to a Harvard Business Review study, only 10 to 15% of people actually know themselves well. I thought I knew myself, but I now know myself better. It took some intention, some deliberate steps. I also like to think of weaknesses as challenges. Instead of the fact that I may be prone to being critical or I can be resentful, I think, okay. That's who I am. That's all right. It's not bad. What I do with it is my responsibility. So the feeling of it, it's not a bad thing. It's what you do with it that makes the difference. And it's like, yes, I am like that. I'm naturally like that. That's okay. It can be okay. All right, so here are 10 ways to get to know yourself, and it is liberating. Self-reflection, mindfulness and meditation, exploring your interests, seeking feedback, personality assessments, we're going to go into those in a minute, exploring your values and beliefs, challenging yourself, reflecting on past experiences, self-care, therapy, or counseling. There are so many wonderful ways to get to know yourself, and let me really stress the fact that this is all about healthy self-love. This is not about ego or pride or taking it to an extreme. This is about really, as you love yourself, All right. I wanted to share with you more about personality assessments. These are my absolute favorite personality assessments. 16 personalities is very similar to Myers-Briggs. However, they'll tell you right on their website, we're not Myers-Briggs, and they're not. If you want to do the true Myers-Briggs, it'll cost you. I don't know how much. I did 16 personalities instead. And by the way, all of these that have an underline under them, you just add a .com. 16personalities.com. It was so fun. I love this assessment. Over 160 million people in the US alone have taken this test, and over 600 million throughout the world. Your Enneagram coach, if you know anything about the Enneagram, it's an ancient tool. It's 9 different personality types. This particular website does have a faith-based slant. So if that's for you, your enneagramcoach.com. I learned a lot about myself there. 5 love languages. You've heard about this probably, the book that was very popular, what, 20, 30 years ago? And this is such a good way to find out how you like to be loved. And if you have a partner, how they like to be loved. Millions have taken this test. Again, 5lovelanguages.com. Spiritual gifts test. If this is for you, I found out my top 3 and I was like, wow, wow. It was really enlightening, very informative, and very, very interesting. It gives you your top 3 gifts. So if that's for you.com. Now, the emotional intelligence test I did about a year ago, that particular website is no longer with us, but I noticed there are several out there. So just Google emotional intelligence and you'll find one. I think quite a few are free. This last one, so much fun, animalandyou.com. I think there's 10 questions, and that, which seems like, how can you assess anything in 10 questions? But you end up being this certain animal, and the animal has all these traits, and it's just a lot of fun. So that would be one you could do. I learned a lot about myself through these different assessments, and it only helped me. So I'm encouraging you to do the same. All right. So our second way is the sun. If you shine a light on fear, it dissipates, right? So fear and confidence, think of them like on a continuum. If you have a lot of fear, you likely don't have a lot of confidence. But if you have a lot of confidence, you likely have less fear. You're never going to get rid of fear altogether. We're human, but you can minimize it. Anxiety and worry give power to the problem. You've got to shine the light, dry up the fear. Here are common patterns that affect our well-being, and I think these are especially true for women. And there are 3 sort of counter strategies for each of these. The what if game, what we talked about that earlier, not being good enough, people pleasing. And again, it's okay to, you want to make like your partner happy or whatever, but this is again going to the extreme. This is an unhealthy version. This is going too far. Imposter syndrome, worrying or wondering, oh no, is it really okay? That I've done this, and being in that state about it. The comparison trap, comparing yourself to others, doesn't lead to anything good. Oh, she's prettier, she's more successful, she has a better body, she's a better mother. Now, fear is not truth. And I just really want to emphasize that. Fear is not truth. I want to focus on one today in our time together, and that is the comparison trap. In the comparison trap, I think these 3 strategies are really good. Limiting your social media. That doesn't mean you don't do social media. It just means you want to read, if there are certain accounts that trigger you, then that would be something for you to be strong enough to not follow those people. I want to tell you a couple tips that have worked for me personally. And again, take this idea or come up with your own. That's nothing wrong with that. I have not allowed myself anymore to look at the number of followers that certain accounts have, because I think when we go to compare ourselves, we typically subconsciously are looking to do one of 2 things. We are looking to feel better about ourselves, like, oh, she doesn't have that many followers. Okay, yeah, I'm doing real good. I'm doing real good. Or you want to feel bad about yourself. Oh, she's got so many followers. She's doing so well. And then I feel bad about myself. I'd say very rarely do you compare and you're like, oh, I'm right where I should be. This is so great. So it's typically one or the other. So become more aware of that. So vanity metrics, you got to be real careful with those. for myself, and again, this is what works for me. I look at social media once a day, typically, it's not a forever thing, but typically look at it once a day. I don't turn my notifications on, I turn them off. I want to be in control of when I participate in social media and not having control me. Again, maybe that's not an issue for you. Also for myself, I don't follow famous people. I like a good People magazine, but I just don't follow famous people. And that, we could get into the whys of that, but we're not doing that today. That's what works for me. Just something for you to think about. Focusing on your personal growth would be the second thing. Get in your own lane and be concerned with your own lane. Focus on where you are on your achievements for progress and growth. And then we've heard a lot about gratitude for a long time. Thankfully, cultivating that gratitude for where you are, turn around and take a look at where you've been and where you are now. It's so important. And then your unique qualities that you have, that's a place to be grateful. You can do the gratitude journal. At the end of the day, you can say, these are the 5 things that I'm so grateful for right now, right here today. I mean, it can be as simple as like, I will say, I'm breathing. Okay, that's good. My heart appears to be beating. That's good. I mean, again, these things take practice. Change requires awareness of thoughts, behaviors, then a decision and a plan. That's what you need to change to make any change. And when it comes to change, I also want to emphasize, maybe you want to do something new, or maybe you want to grow in something and do something better. They're both good. They're both good. Okay, so our last area would be, we're doing pretty good on time. Our last area is fertilizer. Look at all those different kinds of fertilizer, right? All kinds of different kinds. You need to sprinkle the confidence in here to make you feel like, look how happy she is in that little outfit with her orange fanny pack in that picture. She's feeling real good. So I identified 5 P's that I feel like help you on the road to confidence. It starts with the physical. Where I'm sitting, but I can sit up tall. I can put my head up, and I always like to kind of, get my hair going up a little bit here. My head up, my chest out, and I will tell you, right before I came on here, I put on a little bit of lip gloss, and I just sprayed a couple of my favorite little perfume sprays on here, and I just feel good. I feel better. And how about when you wear something beautiful? And that's one of the things that Isha is all about, is wearing things that make you feel good. When you feel good, you come up with that extra little sass in your step, little, you feel more confident, and that comes out. And I think Isha is a beautiful example and exemplifies confidence. You think of a woman who shows confidence, and you think of someone like Isha. How does she present herself physically? She stands up tall. She's not just beautiful on the outside, although she is, yes, she is, but she's beautiful on the inside too. Or you think of 2 women to me who are very different, Audrey Hepburn and Sophia Loren, completely different physically, so different, sense of fashion, different, different, different. But they both show up very confident in who they are. They're unique, they're different, they're themselves. All right, if you want to prepare an area that you want to grow in or something new you want to try, you think of 3 steps, identify 3 steps, little chunks to get there. Like, for example, I wanted to go live on Instagram, but I didn't know how to do that. I jumped on a couple lives, that helped me. I talked to people who've done it before, that helped me. I made my outline, that helped me. Those were my steps. Also, when it comes to preparing, doing that kind of research and then tracking your progress. And then you need people. You need at least 1 person or 2 people to encourage you, to help you with accountability, to help you with inspiration. Maybe you want a mentor. And it doesn't have to be this big formal, will you be my mentor? It can just be, hey, I know you've done this thing before. Tell me about that. What was that like? Also, collaboration. I reached out to Isha and said, "Oh, I would love to collaborate with you and be a part of what you're doing now because it's so wonderful." And I think most or many women want to share and want to be helpful to one another. Also, your psyche, your mind. Listen, what are you saying to yourself? You need to say positive things. You need to focus on what is, not what if, what is, and then collect inspiration. And that's like what I was talking about in that quote at the beginning that touched me and reached me so much. I collected that. And if there are quotes, if there are pictures, you can do a vision board, you can do a Pinterest page, you can do whatever works for you. Just write it down and pin it somewhere you can see it every day. That's what works for me. Practice doing it scared. Think of athletes, think of actors. A lot of things that we do require that we're excited, but we're also nervous. We're also a little scared. That's okay. Act as if. Right now, smile. Okay, if you smile, your brain does all this fun chemical stuff. Right now, your brain did not know that you told it to smile. It just knew that you smiled, and so all the good stuff happened. Act as if. It starts again with the physical. Self-care, you got to take care of yourself, whatever that looks like, and whatever time you have. Keep track of your progress. Take that time to reflect. Take one more step and repeat. Repeat. One more step and repeat. So you just keep going. So the choice is yours. Do you want to be full bloom? Do you not mind being tied in the bud? Do you want to be somewhere in between? That part's up to you. But what I will say is that we need you to do the thing that only you can do. What are you waiting for? Go bloom. Okay, you should tell that story about how we met. This was so wonderful, ladies. Thank you for having me. I really, really enjoyed preparing this for you and having this time with you.
Oh
Thank you.
my gosh, this was mind blowing. This was so great, Rochelle. So if you want to quit sharing your screen, let's have a little conversation.
Yes,
Make sure
yes,
that we're
stop
both
share.
on here. That was just
There. Yes, yes.
amazing. And I think one of the reasons that we're so attracted to each other is that we're just passionate, but like feel good. This is what God called us to do, is to be happy,
Yes.
feel good, to feel confident in who we are. And really just, I love how there was so much. Like I got a list of things I got to do now. And I feel like I'm pretty good at a lot of this. But
Yes, you are.
I love that it's just like get to know yourself, be
Yes.
okay with who you are. And if you don't fully know who you are, it's okay. You have plenty of time with yourself to be able to do this, right? But making the time, but wow, pouring yourself into this was amazing. So I already know that you're so fabulous and your podcast is so great. I've been on with you a couple of times and I so enjoy listening to it when I'm out in nature, my beautiful area that I live in and walking. I listen to your fabulous voice and you have so many incredible people that you brought on, but your mission is very clear. And I love that you're also so honest about like, hey, I don't always feel this great, this perfect, this great.
All right. Yes.
A lot of times and thank you for all the sweet compliments to me. And a lot of times I think when people see us as being really confident, they think, oh, that she just has it all figured out and it's perfect all the time. And no, that is not. It takes work all of the time, which is so great. So I love that. Oh my gosh, when you said write out 10 things you like about yourself, I literally went, you know, I could come up with a few, but it was really a fascinating thing that I think how great to even set a reminder on your phone where once a quarter, sit down and write 10 things you like about yourself. I have been working with young girls in confidence camp, as you know, and it's so much of this is what I'm saying to them. And I'm like, practice what you preach, sister, right here, right? Because 10 things is a lot of things. It's hard for women to find one thing that they like about themselves, right? And so, I always, and on top of that, like those 10 things, but also it's like, hey, if you see something negative or feel something negative, one thing nice, right? When we see pictures of ourselves, we're always like, oh,
Yeah.
make yourself find the nice thing first. The
Yep.
negative's always going to be there. It is part of our culture. It is what's ingrained in us. It just is. And so totally loved that. And then, wow, what a powerful statement of what I do with this is my responsibility.
Yeah.
A little fragile today. Like I've been in tears today. I kind of told you when we first got on. And that just made me go, none of us have it figured out. We're not meant to. We're not expected to. It is a daily walk. Which by the way, I can't believe you're in your 60s and that you're talking like that because hi, hi, look how gorgeous you are and and you have braces on. So you look like you're
I
12.
do. I get them off September 4th. I'm so excited.
Oh, I bet you're so excited. Quick side note, I was teaching confidence camp and all the girls are 9 to 12. I have 20 of them this week. And we were all saying our name and how old we were and what we liked about the day before because we had a new person come in. And all of a sudden I thought, I wonder how old they think I am. I said, I'll start. I said, but how old do you think I am? Girl, they said 26, 24. 28. And I was like, oh, yes, yes. And then I said, I'm 52. And they screamed. And then one of them said, oh my gosh, my dad is that old. So listen, we got to rock it while we can rock it, right?
That's right. That's right.
And you know what? And I really love the diversity and the personality test that you said because that I think is really fascinating. I've done some of those too, and they all really can share, like have different components to them, different things that give you. And I love that each one of those feels like something different. But then once you have all that, you really can put it together for yourself. So completely fascinating. And I want to control when I see social media. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus.
Oh,
All of that because
yes.
honestly, that is almost my entire business is on social media. And it is, and it is a really fine line and it changes often. And so we have to do a lot to protect ourselves. But I'm telling you, I agree with every word you said. And I think it's so fascinating. So those of you who are curious about how we met, we both were in having mammograms. And it was when I was living in San Diego, and we were sitting in the very cold, scary room with just not much, the very thin thing, no support anywhere, right? Getting ready to go in.
All
And
right, let me add something. We
yes,
have both had uh um what would you call it? Ambiguous by mammograms.
yeah.
We had to come back. These were
So,
follow-up mammograms.
so we were fearful.
Yes.
We were fearful, and that room, it's a big room because we're in San Diego. So there's a lot of people that come through that breast center. And it was funny at one point, the whole room cleared out. And we just looked at each other, look at Mitzi. I'm like, whoa, I don't know what's going on. And we looked over at each other and this conversation started, and it was so deep and such a sisterhood. And then they called us away. And I remember feeling frantic when I got out of like, I have to find this woman and give her my card. And I was asking the tech who was with me, I was like, we have to find her. And we did connect again and got each other's information. And we've been for how long ago was that?
I don't even know. 7 years ago,
It was
maybe?
probably seven, yeah, probably
Yeah.
7, maybe even 8 years ago. But I think of you
Yes.
whenever I got to go have the boobies checked.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that is a true sisterhood, right? Because
Yes,
it's
it
something you can
is.
relate to, the fear, and then building each other up and then sharing the experience together. So, you're just fantastic. I just love you so much. And I love what you're doing in the world and how passionate you are about everything. So thank you so much for joining us here at the Social Club Live. And thank you to everyone who has tuned in and who will get to watch this in the future. Make sure that you go check out her podcast. You really do have quite the variety of people on there. It's fascinating. And you're so good at writing the little teaser line where I'm like, what is she up to now? I got to listen to this one. Time to go for a walk. Right. So
Thank you, Lisa. I so appreciate you. I'm very grateful God brought you into my life when he did. Thank you.
thank you, my dear. I love you so much. And I
Love
love
you
all of
too.
you. And make sure you are registered at the Social Club Live. Now we have the complimentary membership that you can just see. And once a month, we have a complimentary workshop for you. But I promise you that even if you decide to become a member and join, it's a very small fee, $9.99 a month. It is, this isn't even a sales pitch. This is like, I promise you, you will get so much out of this. You will get so much.
Well, and I will add that if you do for the whole year, you get a little savings, which is
You
what I did.
do, you do,
What I did it.
yay. So thank you. So thank you for everything, honey. I just love you. And to
Thank
all of you,
you.
thank you. We will see you next week we are making some incredible strawberry bread with the woman who runs the Hampton Water Test Kitchen. Hampton Water Test Kitchen is John Bon Jovi's son, and her story is so fascinating how this came to be. And she's just this wild woman with this wild hair, and I just love her to death. So every week you're going to get to meet somebody new. So Rochelle, thank you.
Alicia, thank you
Beautiful.
for
I
having me.
appreciate you so much.
Bye.
Everybody have a wonderful night. So love you. Mwah.
Bye.